Hey, hello everyone. How you doing, Steve?
What's up?
Not much. Had me a little worried there. I thought you weren't going to be able to make it because you all of a sudden you went dark.
Don't act like you care. Let's get this
Ac-
show over with.
Actually, I thought it was going to be a good show until you pop back up again.
That's what I'm saying. Don't act like you care. You know, let's get it over with for the people.
For the people. All right, let's see who we got here today with us. Uh, I can see Raphael, Joshua's here. Jesse, of course. Berto, how you doing, Berto? Garcia Aquatics. Let's see. We got Jen from Ciclet Aquarist. Thank you for being here. What you been up to, Steve?
Living, man. You know, being ambiguous, staying
Oh.
out the way. You know, living under my rock.
Yep. Well, you want to get this going or what?
Let's get it.
All right. As you guys all well know, today we have one of our friends here with us today.
I wouldn't go that far.
So let's bring him on.
I use that word friend way too loosely these days. Friend.
What's up? How you doing, Drew?
Steve, you're a jerk. Let's start off
That's
there.
okay. I've been called a lot of things.
Let's just start there.
Well, I'd rather be a genuine jerk.
You're just a jerk. How about we just
as opposed
J?
to
I know there's no such thing as genuine.
What's that quote? Y'all call me a jerk, but y'all hang out with people that talk shit about you.
What's cracking? What's cracking? Fish, plants, moss.
What is up, man?
Not much.
It's gonna be a good one.
We're hoping. Yeah. We're hoping to be able to help you out today.
Man, that'll be dope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Appreciate all that.
Let's see what your shirt. What does your shirt say there?
Be the change you see. UC, of course, you're standing for University City. This is one of the high school shirts. So
be the change you see. That's
absolutely.
Dope.
Absolutely. Like our motto for these last years that I've been a part of has been build. So you take the definition of build, and that's what we are. That's our motto for the whole school. So we just want to build. We want to build character. We want to build young people into society. We want to build education and learning. So be the change you see.
Let me understand this correctly. I know you recently changed schools. But did you happen to go back to the school you actually graduated from?
Yes. So that's where I'm at currently. Yep. University City High School. I graduated in '98. So
how's it feel to be back home as a teacher?
Huh?
How does it feel to be back home as a teacher?
It's different. It's different. I put in 9 years at the school previous. But going back to the school that you grew up in is wild, and to have some of the teachers still there is different too. Like most of them have retired, but there were still a couple of more, and there's still like a few more there that were there when I was actually attending school.
There were the newer teachers that were there while you were attending.
Yeah, they haven't retired yet.
So what's that like, being able to re-engage with the teachers and more importantly, students? So how's that like? You have kids that you taught, now they're grown, they're living their lives. Have you been able to have an opportunity to run into some of your prior students and, see them getting their groove on with their families and everything? Basically, like the fruits of your labor?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part of your question, since that was pretty loaded, is it's different going back to the school. In the 90s, it was a wild time in that area. Still the same school, still the same things. It's just different at different time. So in actuality, the stuff that we were dealing with back then, some of these kids kind of still deal with. And it makes it easier being a product of the neighborhood to understand those students and the things that they have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But with our principal, and we got a freaking awesome principal, Michael Peoples, man. He's amazing. We had our PD. For those of you guys that saw the Instagram, they did take us to laser tag and stuff like that.
That was awesome.
Before we did
was really awesome.
Before we did that team builder, and he does that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We had a serious conversation about the pendulum, whereas we have teachers over here that don't want to do the things that everybody else is doing, and they're kind of like stopping progress because they're stuck in their own old ways and stuff like that, not going to change with the times. And then we have those in the middle of the pendulum, and these are the ones that are passing students because they feel sorry for them, and not correcting bad behaviors, societal behaviors, because they feel like it will hinder the kids. So they really want to not say too much, whereas they need to be saying something. And it went to maybe like a white-black thing. You know what I'm saying? We have predominantly black students. We have some white teachers that possibly don't want to infringe on culture, but they do not know black culture. So pants sagging is not black culture thing.
Right.
You can tell it. You can tell a student to pull their pants up.
Right.
Hats to the back is not a black culture thing. You could tell these kids to take their hats off. But what people have to understand is there is all kinds of different cultures. So we're talking about a classroom culture. In the classroom, you know what I'm saying? We don't wear hats. That's the school culture. That's a rule. We don't wear hats in the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the classroom, you create that culture.
Right.
Right? It has nothing to do with black, white, yellow, or indifferent. You dig?
Yeah.
But because you're in the middle of that pendulum, now you're hindering these kids from society just as well as the ones that don't want to change. So you got to really find yourself. Beware the pendulum is his words. You really got to find yourself a niche where you're not afraid to let people know what's right and what's wrong. Students know what's right and what's wrong. You have to say it anyway, right? Because society is not going to allow certain things. They're not going to let things slip by. You know what I'm saying? They're going to get ostracized either way it goes.
Right.
But you got to do what you got to do as the teacher and as the adult in the classroom. So I kind of got off on a tangent because I'll be serious.
No, actually, that's fantastic, because I was going to ask you to expound on that.
Yeah.
You brought something up that was my next question, which leads into to you being up here today, which thank you, by the way, for making the time to show up on a Saturday like this with school starting and everything.
I do want to hit on the other part of that question that you said. Have I seen students that I've had in the past and their families? They hit me up on Facebook all the time. I just got hit up by one of my students from the very first school that I taught at. When I first started teaching, I was 23 years old, right? 23, 24. And a lot of these students, of course, they're 18. So I'm nothing more than about 6 years older than them when I first was in there.
Right.
So now these kids are 6 years younger than me, and I'm at 41. They have their own kids. They have them in school. They're dealing with a lot of different stuff, and they're doing well for the most part. Like they come up to me. Like the last kid, he just messaged me this morning and said, "Hey, I'm still making music. I want to send you a couple of beats. Like as always, you judge them, and let me know what you think and stuff like that." Freaking amazing,
Yeah, that is. That's dope.
I had another student find me on. I was playing 2K, and he was like, "Mr. Clark, is that you?" I was like, "Yeah." Bro, who's getting me wet? What are y'all up to? Stop.
Yeah.
Those starry nights, man. They're just big.
Polonine, man, my favorite fish. One of
Man, they
them.
go crazy. He's got my. They're going at it, bro.
Let them have it, bro.
Back wet.
It's gonna happen.
But yeah, when I see them and they're successful, man, it makes me feel good. Makes me feel good. Feel like I was a part of that.
You see, okay. So I wanted you to expound on something you said, which was one of the next questions, which is, can you expound on how being from that neighborhood, that hood, quote unquote, how that makes you more relatable, and how also you can turn it on its head, that pendulum, and actually empower them to say, hey, young man, young lady, this behavior
No, just
is
checking in
not
on Tuesday.
conducive to overall success in society. I'm not telling you that you have to be something that you're not, or be something that you don't identify with. I'm telling you that there's a time and a place for everything, and I'm trying to empower you with the tools, because I used to be in your shoes.
Thanks. So, for me, it makes it a lot easier, right? I know the school upside down and around. I wasn't always a teacher. I did go to high school, and I fractured a couple of school laws myself, right?
Yeah.
So I know where to find you when you not trying to come to class. I know where you are when you're trying to skip class, and then I can talk to you about when I used to skip class. All right. And things that I did, and I did it way better than you did it, because you guys don't even know how to lie really well. I don't believe you. You can't say nothing slick to a can of oil, man. I tell them that all the time.
Already.
I tell them that all the time. I said, I grew up where you was at. I know where you live, man. Most of my classmates, their kids are now my students, and it makes it fun for me, because when I find out who your mammy and your daddy was, they probably know me, right? And if I call them, and I did this to a student before, he's in class clowning, doing whatever this, and I was like, yo, I said, hey man, who's your pops, bro? And did he go here? He was like, yeah, my dad went here, said he know you. I was like, who was he? Told me who he was. He's like, my dad a gangster. I was like, dad was not a gangster, bro.
It just shattered his dreams right there on spot.
Yeah, immediately. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just give him a ring, right?
Hey.
Call up his pops. Was like, hey man, why is your son in here clowning, man? Talking about he trying to be a gangster like you. He said, what? He said, listen, Clark. Hey, if you got to drop him on his head, man, do that. You hear me? I said, let me put you on speaker so everybody can hear this. He's like, hey, I'm giving Mr. Clark permission to drop you on your face. Do you understand? And he was looking like surprised and shocked, like, oh. I was like, yeah, that's right. Hey, that's the green light right there. I hung up. I was like, let me get my hands on you now. He was like, oh, no, chill. So, like, not everybody in their classroom, of course, can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. But only people who were in that area and at that time and went to the school and know the people. So I really have an affinity with the students more so here than anywhere, because they I feel like they mine. You feel me?
Right.
Like they're growing up the same way I grew up. You know, they're doing the dozens. Like nothing really has changed as far as that community and the atmosphere with the kids. Like anybody who knows me knows that I can go on the dozens, baby. I'll let you have it. And I love and I hate. It's hard being a teacher in this atmosphere, because when they start dissing each other, I'm laughing instead of stopping them, because I'm like, you know what, things is still. I'm glad to see you guys are still little U City Lions, man. And then I have to revert back like, hey, y'all gotta chill, man. Save it for lunchtime. Wait till y'all get out of class. And then they start trying to do me, and I'll be like, oh, well, this is what I've been waiting for.
Right.
Like, I'll let you have it. Like, there is no bullying in my classroom. Why? Because I'm the biggest bully in my class.
Right.
There is no talking while I'm talking, because I am the most colorful and best thing for you to look at in the classroom. There's nobody better than me. I don't care how good a student is or how popular you think you are. I'm the best.
Now, Andrew. We're talking about the children here, and we need to be responsible.
Yeah, sometimes.
All right.
But if they strike a nerve, I'm letting them have it. I don't care.
You all right now. Your complexion's doing the most for you, and we're gonna leave it at that. Right. Now, there's a little more to be desired, but I'll leave that for the other people's discretion. I had to.
I had a hater, man. You be a hater all your life, man. You be hating.
No. Hate's that's a strong word. but in all seriousness, like for you, like in all seriousness, bro to bro, like for you, like how rewarding is that to be able? I'm just gonna call it what it is, bro. It's love, right? For them to respect you. Like, oh no, that's Mr. Clark. Like they see past the fact that you are a teacher and all that stuff. It's more of a confidant to where they don't want you to be disappointed in them. They don't want you to see them in any other light than their best light. And like that's heavy. You know what I'm saying? And kudos to you because you make it look easy. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I always say stay in your lane. Because it's kind of difficult, especially now we get bombarded with social media and all this stuff. It's hard to stay cognizant of the fact of I'm not going to try to do nothing like nobody else because I can't do it no way but my way. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
I've had administrators come in my room and like, dude, how do you get, and this was at my previous school, like, how do you get the kids to just be so, like, they go crazy in other people's class, and when they come in my class, I get it straight. And they were like, can we observe? I said, you're not going to really like what I do because I can say things that a lot of people can't. And you know what I'm saying? For the simple fact, but I've seen other teachers have that same type of connection with their students, black and white. And the secret really is it's nothing more than just they got to know that you care about them, not about them learning, not about them studying, not about how good their grades are, not about anything but them. And in this day and age, that goes a long way because a lot of these kids do not feel like an adult cares for them or about them or what they want to do. And when you show them that peace and you give them tough love, but love is at the end of it. It's not just tough, throw it away. The love piece is serious.
Right.
Before I do anything, I sit my students down, and especially my freshmen, because they are usually the wildest ones. They're coming from, and we're getting a handle on the middle school now. We've got a new principal in there that I actually graduated with and played ball with in college. He's an awesome guy. Spent time in New York turning stuff around up there, and now he's here, and he's already making change over there.
Okay.
But if you're coming from a wild elementary or middle school, and then you get somewhere that has some sort of discipline and some standards, not saying that there's not there, but it's now being instituted on you hard, you're quick to buck back because you're used to it.
Right.
But you can't buck back off somebody who's telling you that I love you and I want you to make sure that you make it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You haven't heard that before, right? And I'm telling you that for real. And I'm not only going to tell you that, I'm going to show you that. When you first mess up on a test or a quiz, I'm not just going to put an F on it and throw it away. I'm going to show you how to make it better.
Right.
I'm going to teach you what you missed on it. And then I'm going to give you the opportunity to make that up. But it's going to be a real opportunity. It's not going to be nothing that I just give you and then give you the grade. And then you're going to think that you just went by. It's not going to be any of that. I sit my students down and I have a whole round table discussion with them. I want to know about you. I'm going to tell you about me. And teachers got to learn they got to be vulnerable, man. You got to be able to laugh at yourself because we not perfect too. And the second thing is you got to understand that some of these kids don't feel like they kids. Some of these kids are the adults that they
raising themselves, right?
Exactly. You gotta humble yourself and not think that this kid need to do whatever I say do because I'm the adult here. I'm the oldest and he needs to respect his elders. That happened one time in the old school. This dude chased this dude down, a student down, and told him, "Hey man, you better respect me." Woo, woo, woo. He said, "Hey man, listen, I take care of my little sister, my little brother. My mother's not home, and my dad ain't never been in my life. So who you talking to like that?" And he meant
Exactly.
that.
Right,
And he
right.
meant that. I had another teacher said, you know what? You clowning way too much. Let's get on the phone and call your mama. And the student was like, well, if you can call her, let me talk to her, because I've been going from foster home to foster home almost all my life.
Yeah.
We're not ready for those type of answers. You know, it used to be like,
Yeah.
I'm calling your mama and that's it. Whether she at work or whatever it is. Some of these mamas ain't at work. Some of these kids ain't got no mamas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you really gotta change the way you think. You gotta be in these kids, and you gotta get to know them, what they do, where they're at right now. You know what I'm saying? And then come to them that way.
That's like I'm just that's crazy, man. I had teachers, right, that impacted my life. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It is about trust. You don't know what those children are going home to. You don't know what's on the other side of the coin, you know? So being able to get that love from those kids like that, and then like understanding that it's a responsibility. Like when you sit out here talking about like being vulnerable, oh my God. But like, what kind of self-aware person do you have to be? Because you're maintaining a relationship, yes. Just like you got to be vulnerable with your spouse, or I would hope so at this stage in the game, if you got one, you know, being vulnerable with your children. Like, hey, yeah, I'm daddy, I'm the boss, but I love you, I respect you, I can learn from you too. I messed up. That doesn't mean you don't have to respect me and do what I say. It just means that I'm maintaining the continuum of respect that we do have. I want you to respect me for my character and integrity, not because you're afraid that I'm going to punish you. You know, so I think that's a good segue. Let's talk about the tanks, man. Let's talk about what you got going on with the kids, with the tanks, where it's at, what you got planned, kind of give the backstory on it.
Okay. George, welcome back.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm dealing with some stuff here around the house. No, I wanted to actually, before we get going on, talking about you going back to your old high school. The reason I was asking that, because I live in a small community, and the I guess the fortune of that is that a lot of the teachers that come back to the high school are people that have lived within the community. And I think it says a lot to when you have teachers that understand your day-to-day situations, because one, they live through it, or they're your neighbors. They're exactly where you're at. They're seeing what happens. Being that we are a rural community, there's a lot of migrant students down where we're at.
Mhm.
So a lot of these kids end up spending most of their days alone at home, trying to raise themselves, their younger siblings. So I totally understand where you're coming from when being able to understand a student's situation when you're trying to deal with discipline towards them, and maybe understanding that the reason that he's falling asleep in your class is not because it's boring, maybe because they've been up all night taking care of stuff at home. A kid that's not paying attention because he hasn't had a meal since the day before when he was at school. That was the only meal he had. Those are the things that most people that are coming outside of these situations don't understand. And I think it's important for people that get into the teaching industry to be able to go back to your roots, because you're going to be able to understand the students that you're dealing with, because you're coming right from where they're at. And I think it says a lot for people that are able to do that and go back. And that's when you start seeing success. One, because you actually care about what you're doing. You care for the students. You totally can relate to what's going on with them. And you know, and that brings a lot of value. One of the things that I remember, because I did, believe it or not, I was a high school teacher for about 6 years. I was teaching social science, And one of the things that I always dealt with, and some of the other teachers would, especially with the students that are a little bit more hyperactive and stuff like that, they said, "How come you never send them out with referrals?" That's what, when we would send them out to the principal's office. I said, "I don't do referrals. I don't need them." Because all it is the reason they're acting up and hoping that they get a referral is because they want to get out of the class. And the worst punishment you can give them is to actually stay there the whole period.
Absolutely.
So that's how I dealt with it. And it never bothered me if they would cuss or do whatever they were allowed. They were doing that because they were acting out and trying to see if they can get out of there. The worst thing that could happen to them was just sit down. Look, we'll deal with whatever it is we did. And the way they treated me was exactly the way I was going to respond to them. And I made them understand that if you want to get loud in street, we can get loud in street. That's no problem. I mean, we can do that all day, but let's try to be civil and let's try to learn something. So if you just talk and communicate with me and tell me what it is that you're seeking, maybe we can find a solution to that. And that always worked for me. That always worked out at the end of, before the semester ended or whatever, they were actually listening to what I had to say and actually doing some of the work that they were doing in some of the other classrooms. So
it's very similar to how it's like, when, I have students yell at me down the hallway and I yell right back. And, sometimes people be like, it's like, and I'll be in my classroom, I'll close the door, neighbor and teacher be like, "You guys were so loud in here. What's going on?" I was like, "Now, I'm loud, just loud." It's just how I go. Right. And this is, I love creative chaos. I hate when my students are doing tests because it's too quiet in there. And sometimes I'll just be sitting there just like, "Come on, man, y'all hurry up, man, so we could say something, man." I just be ready to go, man. And I resonate with students with ADD and ADHD, which is the reason why I think, going back to the whole fish tank thing is a big deal for me also. But I also had ADD, ADHD. I still got it somewhere down there, but it really is a thing. It really is a thing, but I don't think it needs medicine as a cure all the time. You know what I'm saying? Right. Kids are going to be kids. You know what I'm saying? If you diagnose a 6-year-old with that, then when are they going to be able to be a 6-year-old? You feel me? When are they going to be able to get into stuff and run around and play and ask questions and do this if you got them like comatose half the time? You feel me?
Right.
So part of that is understanding that piece, understanding kids. Before you become a teacher, you have to pass a class called child psychology. Psychology of the exceptional child is another class that you have to go through. You really got to kind of use that stuff, man, and realize that even though they're kids, their brains, they're children, they're seeing a lot of different things online and they're able to flip through things. Doesn't mean that they technically understand it. You know what I'm saying? They just seeing it. It's up to you to give them the vision and that explanation of what's what and what's real and what's not. So, but absolutely, Mexicali, my students are the same. We're the same way. You give me that energy, I give it right back. I could be the teacher that's fun. We could do field trips and we can have parties and we could do Chinese food and pizza and all of that when we do well. Or you could just sit here and look at me and I'll look at you and then you get what you get and you get up out of here. Let's just I could go either way. But I take what you give me. Okay. Mm-hmm. If I'm giving you this and you want to be ignorant back, I can get ignorant with you too, baby. It's just how it goes. And after I just said that, I still have to think of a better. I gotta work on my vocabulary and diction. I'm always bringing myself right here with the level with the students, and I need to elevate them. I usually do that by the end of the year, but I need to take them up higher, and that's my thing. Because trying to be an assistant principal soon, I really got to think about elevating these kids up to a different plateau. I take them from freshman to sophomore, but I need to take my freshmen to juniors and seniors, even though they're going to go into their sophomore year. And I do realize that about myself. Sometimes I tend to get back into like a kiddie mode and want to play. And honestly, it is a slippery slope on that end, because when I first started teaching, kids gravitated toward me, I gravitated towards them, but then I saw myself being a little bit more on their end. So then when stuff got serious and I got really upset, or you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, and I tried to hit them like a teacher, it didn't phase them, because they just took it as, oh, Mr. Clark he just like us. He just like us. Then after that really pissed me off. So the next year students, I went full Sergeant Slaughter mode, right? Now I'm not letting you do anything. I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. And that wasn't me. That made me feel like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find that happy medium where you get that respect, you know what I'm saying? And you still get that genuine love. So you get respect and love from them. You know what I'm saying? Once you have those two combinations, they'll do anything you want. Matter of fact, I had kids fail my class, still come up to me and tell other students that, man, Mr. Clark is the man. His class is cool. I failed it. He didn't, like, no kid can say I failed them. You failed me. You dig? I expected better from you. I thought you were doing this. I thought you were doing that. I had these plans for you, and you kind of let me down.
Yeah.
Now, when I tell them that they let me down for the grade that they were supposed to get, it makes them feel even worse. Like, they feel like, dang, man. I've had kids say, man, Mr. Clark, I didn't want you to get fired or nothing, man. So I had to make sure that I passed that ACT, man, real high for you, man. Let everybody know that you really did good with us. Because, I get a lot of flack because teachers are like, man, your kids come out of class, y'all always laughing when I pass by, and they always having fun and up and all around. I was like, You know what? My job isn't to please you 100 and some odd teachers. My job is to make sure that these kids have fun learning, and it's way more of them there is of you. So until you come in my class, sit down and see what we're laughing and joking about. Don't be talking stuff behind my back, because my kids are going to tell me, man, Mr. Clark, Ms. Whatchamacallit was talking about all you do in Mr. Clark class. I said,
and they're quick to do it too.
Don't be trying to talk to me in the printing room. Hey, Mr. Clark, how you doing? The kids, don't say shit to me. The kids have already let me know about you. And the kids, the kids, they've got it down pat. They will use a teacher as long as they let them, until that teacher is dang near gone. Like, you've made this teacher so much of a they're no longer a use. They got to get out of the school now. And then they're just like, oh well, hey, they should have been teaching us better. Like, what? The teacher was doing exactly what you wanted them to do. You can't do that. They don't even want that. They want discipline. They want to be taught. I remember I was going for a couple of months and I'm just messing around. We're on the same subject. I'm having a good time with them. And then one student was like, man, Mr. Clark, we haven't even did anything about this yet. And I was like, dang, this little kid just called me out. He was the one that was having the most fun. I'm sitting there like, bro, I'm tripping. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. They even when they get upset, it's all fun and games until you hit a nerve or something happens and they really get upset. Now all of a sudden, after they telling you I'm grown and I don't play that, and cussing you out and doing all this and doing that, and then when you say something to them, now man, I'm just a kid, man. How you gonna say that to me? And now you gonna oh no, see, at first you was talking all that smack and this, that, and the other, like you was grown. You told me all of this. You know what I'm saying? And so they'll flip the script on you. So you really have got to stay the straight and narrow and be true to yourself and true to them and do what's right for them either way. But they want that discipline. They need it. And quiet as it's kept, they want it.
Let me
they
ask
don't
you
want
something.
to just go willy-nilly. They really don't. They think they do, but they really don't. You know what I'm saying? If it's between a teacher that lets them go willy-nilly, that's probably going to get on the brink of getting kicked out of that school because they letting the kids do everything. Oh, you let us eat in here. You let us chew gum in here. Oh, you're the coolest teacher. We doing this. We doing this. What the teacher doesn't realize is that when they get into those other classes and they're not allowed to do it, they're more focused on what it is that they are supposed to be doing. All right. And that
Right.
grade and that knowledge they get to take with them. They don't realize they got it until they get somewhere where it's not being where they're not learning it. Now that teacher is on the brink of getting talked to because you've got kids in here hiding out and they skipping class and they're in here. Your room's a mess because it's chips and stuff all over the place, and you letting them do this, you letting them do that. You're making it harder for your colleagues to conduct class because they're talking about how it's easy to do this in your room. So now you've got your colleagues looking at you, you got your admin looking at you. The students really don't give a damn, right? They're up and down. Oh, they like you, but when you're gone, there's going to be somebody else there. So you really gotta you've got to really figure it out which way you have to. And the best way to do that is to build that rapport with your students, know where they are, but you've got to have your own non-negotiables. You have your own non-negotiables.
That makes sense. I want to ask you, like, do you see it as being manipulative?
Absolutely.
Or a product of their environment when they flip the script on you? Because at the end of the day, what I see and what I've experienced is it's accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you hold these young men and women accountable, hey, I'm a kid. Now it's, hey, I want to play crazy. You
Right.
was cool. I seen you over there with your little friends over there with vibrato. It didn't seem like nothing was wrong with you then. But now I'm holding you accountable. I'm calling you on your BS. And now all of a sudden you want to pull a rank. You want to use what's convenient for you. So
absolutely,
how do you navigate that? You know, when you're dealing with, because they're a lot more resilient and intelligent than we give them credit for.
Exactly.
They just lack life experience. That's all. And that's just because of the years they've lacked on earth.
Yeah. They're really resilient as far as they're not as fragile as you may think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their experiences that they've gone through, whether what age they are, they go through the same stuff that we go through. You lose life, they lose a lot of life. They've got plenty of friends. You look at their Instagrams, they got thousands, and they know almost half of those people. Like, I have 1,000, I only know like 17 people. Like, I don't know everybody else, but they navigate through life as if, and that's the other thing, that mentality that they navigate through life when they just don't know how long they'll be here. Like, I'm fighting old age. I'm not thinking I'm gonna go out there and just get shot, even though I am in St. Louis. Maybe I should, but that's not the first thought on my mind. I got to pay bills. Like, I got to pay bills so that I can grow old, so that my kids will be straight and they can take care of me. That's where I'm at. When I went to homecoming, I didn't spend 3 G's on homecoming. I'm not, but they are. They're out there getting the expensive stuff for homecoming because I asked them. I said, "What are you doing?" They're like,
might not make it.
I might not make it to prom.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is going to be marriage. I ain't even thought about having no big wedding because I might not even, and they're comfortable saying that. I was like sick. I was like, how?
It's sad, bro.
And it's sad when you really think about it, because back when we were that age, we had so much fun knowing that we was going to live to the next day and kick it. And these kids are so paranoid and so on guard. They've seen parents go to jail. They've seen their mama fight and scrap it out on the front lawn. They've seen their partner get shot and gunned down. It's just so much. And they ain't nothing but 14, 15. So, putting yourself in that mind state and then saying that you want to educate them and take them to a whole nother level of thinking and take them to a whole nother person that they can be, and take them to greater heights when they can grow up and think about what they really want to do as far as a career, not a job. They're going to McDonald's and they're quitting after they get their first check, most money they've seen and had in their pocket, just so they can go get the new Jordans. But if you quit that job, then how are you going to get some more Jordans? Like, how are you going to do that? You don't like what the manager has to say, so now you got an attitude and you talking that stuff and he gets rid of you. You don't care because you'll go to Burger King because that's a different job. Like they do not know how to handle that type of. So you're dealing with all of that stuff.
Right.
So you're getting all of that in one package in your classroom, along with 24 other students with the same type of packages. So you better try to unpack that baggage and build some rapport with at least more than half of them, so that you can get some work done during that whole hour that you have them in there. You got to try to change all of that. So those are definitely things you got to think about when you're out here.
It's like you got to be a counselor and a teacher at the same time. It's like all those babies need counseling
I gotta be
first,
a mentor,
just so you can reach them
and
cover knowledge.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
you're basically
you got to be
parent.
everything. You got to be a parent. You got to raise them. You're raising those kids.
Yeah,
just so you can teach them biology for the allotted time you have to teach them biology. So yeah, I'm glad we were able to expound on that, because people say, hey, I'm a teacher. I really don't think you understand. You literally raising somebody's kids and empowering them to be young men and women, productive members of society.
Yeah, but not everybody's cut out to be a teacher, even though they finished school and they got all the credentials that they needed. I'm telling you, just one of the biggest disappointments that I had as a teacher when I was teaching was realizing that the same teachers that are always complaining about their students were in fact either worse than the students that they were complaining about. And the reason I say that, I remember my very first year when we had our in-service before the school started. This is how pathetic some of these guys are and some of these ladies. We would have the week before school started, there would be little workshops that they would do. And this happened to be the principal that was addressing the newcoming teachers and the returning teachers that were there. You would think that an environment like that, there'd be professionalism, they'd be more serious. The worst people to show up to meetings are the teachers. They're always running late. They have no idea of discipline and the importance of time. They complain about their students all the time about showing up late. They were the worst examples. Students would show up 5 minutes late, but they were showing up 15, 30 minutes late to a meeting. Well, what I was getting at, it was such an eye-opener for me, because one of the teachers there, and I think he was a history teacher, which eventually ended up getting fired, which I'm really happy he did, but he did some stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing. Well, he thought it would be cute if he took a fart machine and placed it under the pupil, so that whenever somebody was presenting, he'd sit there like a infantile and be pressing the fart machine. And I'm going, are you serious? These are the guys that are supposed to be, the teachers that are supposed to be teaching students.
The teacher put the machine?
Yes, one of the teachers. This is when it was just the in conference. What it is, it's like the first week when you get back into, before you go to the classrooms, they'll have, the expectations for the year, some of the standards that you have to meet. It's only teachers. It's only faculty. There's no students, no nothing. And this jerk off was sitting there, and he thought it was cute. And he had his whole group of friends that were sitting at this table, and they all were laughing. And I was like, that was my introduction into high school teaching. I was going, no wonder. No wonder. There's no hope. If these are the people that are supposed to be the role models, or the people that these kids are supposed to follow orders from, now I get it, why it's so broken. And unfortunately enough, it wasn't
like the blind
everybody.
Leading the blind, basically, is what you're
saying. It wasn't
saying.
everybody there, but that's what I was getting at. You always have that group of teachers that I don't understand why they're teaching. And that's unfortunate.
Tell you what, those people that say those who can do and those who can't teach have never taught a day in their life, because it's not that easy, bro. It really is not. And for those people that are like, you guys get your whole summers off and we got to work all the way through. You try going 9 months and 8 months with some kids that aren't yours, that you really got to care about and build rapport with, and stop doing these different things, who, running amok and stuff like that, and see if you don't need a few months off. I'm like, seriously. But You know what? Everybody knows I'm late. I almost have to put it on my resume. I'm often late, but when I get there, it's all good. I don't blame a kid for being late. I don't get on a kid but for being hungry. Um I don't get on a kid if they cuss, which is a lot of probably, maybe I should a little bit more, but my classroom, my rule on this one, and I know there's rules of the school, but not excessively and not cursing out, like, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody's gonna have their slip up. I love
Right.
the curse. This is my favorite pastime. That's great. But it's time and a place, and I got to
For
teach them
everything,
about that
exactly.
that type of culture. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you have your culture on the block, you have your culture in your house, and then you have this classroom culture. You have this school culture. It's different. Okay, it's different. We're not trying to tell you to act. Why you want us to act white or act? That's not none of that. Okay, it's different. It's time and place for different things. You want to get looked at differently in different aspects in different spots that you're at. It has nothing to
Right.
do with dumbing your culture down and who you are as a person, but you as a person can always grow. You can use your mind and think about different stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can
Right.
word things a different way. You can definitely do that. All right. That's not a problem. But just like me, my students don't say nothing to me when I got my shades on and I have not drank my coffee yet. Okay, don't say anything to me when I walk in there. All right, Mr. Clark,
Yep.
it still got a
That's
little
about
bit in
right.
here. Okay,
That's how it
once
works.
I can get my coffee in my system, the shades can come up. Now I am ready to receive you. Some students don't even eat before they come home and before they come into school. They are groggy. They have these attitudes. You can't say nothing to them. Good morning. They don't say nothing. Day. Then I say good morning to get out of my face. Oh, really? You need to go downstairs and get a bag breakfast real quick, because all of that right there is messing up the vibe in here. So you go and get your life together and come back in when you're ready. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of teachers
Right.
won't do that. They'll just write them up. Like you said, in the 14 years I've been teaching, I probably have wrote maybe 3 referrals in my whole life. And it had to have been something like real. The principal will come to my room personally if I have an issue, because he knows I don't have issues just for nothing.
Right.
Whereas I was working at this one school district and this lady wrote 18 referrals a day. They
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of the teacher. They was
And
like, yo, you are ridiculous. Like, this is crazy. You
Yeah.
really just abuse. Like, she would go make copies of we would get a certain amount of referrals in the beginning. She would make copies because that's not enough. She has more stacks of referrals than she would of work for kids to do. Like, this is nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I wanted to bring something up. When you said you're not trying to get them to change and act white, let me ask you something. And this is genuine. How were you able to relate a hobby like fish tanks to youth who mostly come from an urban background and have no exposure to that kind of stuff? And then more importantly, and I know me and you talked about this, but I want you to tell the people, more importantly, how are you able to show these kids that it's okay to be a nerd? Because for me personally, when I got in the hobby, coming up in the hobby, you get ostracized by your own peer group, sometimes more harshly than you do from people that don't necessarily belong to your peer group. And it's like you get bombarded with, Steve, you talk white, you do white people stuff. Like it's so pervasive, acting white. It's the stupidest thing that you could say. But how do you bridge that gap with the
Well,
kids?
I mean, I've never really had the same vernacular as most of my peers in the group, especially with Nelly and Chingy coming out with the way that we talk around here. I
Mm-hmm.
never really. It's a weird category to be put in, and when you don't sound like what they think you should sound like or something else, then you get categorized as sounding like another whole, like you're going to put me in a whole nother race category because I sound and speak different English, or I like to pronounce my words. This has nothing to do with anything like that.
Right.
The way that you grew up, my dad was a teacher, my mother was a teacher. So, you know, but they're from Louisiana, deep South. So
Right.
they have Southern twang. All right. I didn't get a chance to adopt that, but if I go down south with the rest of my cousins and my uncles and my aunties and my grandparents, if I'm there for longer than 2 days, I'm picking up the Southern twang and saying sync and
You get it back.
there and over there and over here and all of that.
Oh Lord.
And it just has something to do with and it's just the way that you're brought up. But if you're capable of learning, then you're capable of doing anything else that you can do. All right. If I speak English, but I can learn Spanish. I might not speak it like a true Spanish speaking person, but I can make enough so that you can understand. If you can understand a different language, then clearly you can speak different English. Like what's the problem here? Like, and then why you got to be put in a category, in a box? So
Right.
my thing is when it comes to this fish keeping, I don't really consider myself a nerd. Nobody that I know would consider me a nerd. Like, it's just the fact that if it's something that a lot of people don't understand, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You might not even, you probably like looking at fish tanks, but you're going to call me something because I actually know about them.
Exactly.
So if you take the time to know about something and you've done research and you've taken, does that make you a nerd because it's something that you like? Or put it better like this. I like to go grab the most popular kids, bring them into the hobby. Now they can go get their friends. Now, are they nerds? No. Now it's cool. Because now these cool cats, they got some cool looking fish. They know a lot of different stuff. And so we can bring it there. All right. A lot of people look at people who watch anime and do the anime thing. They are different and get nerd. I don't want to watch no cartoon until you see one that interests you. Now you're into it.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it's really like a step of the line over whether you're going to be part of something that you've been ostracizing people for because you haven't even tried it. You haven't even looked at it. All right. Now, if you're just dead set against fish, you don't like the way an aquarium looks, a beautiful aquarium, there might be something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with me because I think that aesthetically that looks good, and I really kind of want to have something like that of my own. It's not my problem, right? So people, and you know what? It's different these days because back when we were getting in school, there was definitely cliques, and there still are cliques, but we have a lot of students now that don't give a damn about conforming to whatever a clique is part of. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wear whatever I want. And if you talk about it, that's fine. I'm comfortable like this, right? And if you're comfortable like that, come rock with me, you know? But this whole you like fish, man. Nah, you can't roll with us, man. We like dogs and pups over here. Oh, you like kittens, man. I ain't rocking with you. So what? I don't care. Like your pups and kittens, but guess what? Guess what? I could like fish and pups and kittens. Now where do I fall? Where I'm at now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, these kids have a mind of their own, and they're not going to hesitate to voice their opinion. The only thing I do like about these generation of students is that they have been empowered to speak their mind. Now they do use it quite often and sometimes wrongly. Like look, you didn't study, you messed up on the test, and then you messed up on the retake because you did something else. There is nothing else I can do for you. Well, I just think that I probably need to go to the principal because this is not fair because, okay, now you're empowered to do all of that you want to do, but them's the rules. Like this is how it's going to go. And, you know, and so, you know, you have all this empowerment, but you do it for the wrong reasons. And sometimes, you know what I'm saying? We love for you to speak your mind in these cases where you feel like maybe you've been wronged of your civil rights or something like that, maybe out in society and things of that nature. But, you know, you can't come to me and tell me some stuff that's just off the wall crazy. I'm not rocking with that. I'm not no fool.
You know what? That's a good thing. I used to tell my sailors this all the time. There is a difference between policy and personal opinion. And what happens is a lot of times, and the youth are more susceptible to this because they lack life experience. So when they're held accountable, what they want to do is they want to take their opinion, convolute that with policy, and then try to weaponize that policy and advocate it thusly. Like the example you gave of, hey man, you didn't study, you messed up on the retake, X, Y, and Z. Ain't nothing else I can do for you. Well, I believe because of I should be able to advocate So how do you deal with that? You know, and teach them, hey man, I'm glad you empower. Yeah, you got a voice, but there's a difference between how you feel and the way things are, as per
real
policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you can't just dump all over them without giving them something good. I was part of a program called College Summit, where we take all these kids from different high schools and different walks of life and very similar backgrounds and put them all on a college campus for a weekend. And we break them down to the point to where they're crying, boo-hooing. We want them to get all of it out, and want you to see that between you and these 50 other kids in this circle, and this stays here, that you are going to be just like a few of these students. But we want they start asking them questions about their lives and what they grew up with and stuff like that, and sitting into these sessions, and they would have these different sessions daily within the whole weekend. And it would be exhausting for these kids to just give so much of themselves and just pour out their life's stories to some of these students that they don't even know, these people they haven't even seen before, and they have to go and bunk with them in the dorm, and they wake up with them, and we turn that into a positive personal statement for their very first statement that they send off to colleges, because we take that pain and that hurt that you just debunked and gave us, and we put it in writing. And now you have your own personal story that somebody at a college level can look at and be like, this kid has to be here. And the motto for College Summit was helping students get to college that would make it through college. Like, we know you can make it through. We just got to make sure you get there.
Right.
And after they tear these kids down, they will build them right back up. They would have a culminating circle at the very end of the weekend. And they would have these kids step into the middle and ask how they feel, what they've learned, what did they make any friends here? And these kids would stand and tell what they learned this weekend and how they felt and this, that, and the other. And the most important part of that circle was this. Those students had to stand there. And as we gave them a round of applause in that circle, they would try to shy out and go back into the circle. No. You stand there and you receive your applause. This is for you. You did a great job. And you see teachers and parents and adults and students and everybody giving you an applause in this circle, and you're in the middle of it and you're just taking it all in. This is something that you have not gotten before, and now you're receiving it. It makes you feel a different type of way. It makes you feel like everything that you've been through, all this stuff that you unpacked and stuff like that, it really is real. And so I've used that technique in my classroom, that we are going to make it together, all of us. And I don't care, what you feel like you can't do. Oh, you don't read the best. You don't write the best. Okay, well, I tell you what, I'm going to put you two in a group. All right. He's going to read and help you out, and he's going to write and he's going to help you out. Right. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? You help each other's peer learning, peer understanding.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I see you in the comments, RJ, man, talking about you'll dunk on me. Don't think that I've been looking at these comments. Y'all real wilding, man.
Yeah, I see. I've been trying to keep it.
Take my lunch money.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with you, man?
No.
I see you, pimping.
But like, getting back to it, that's something I still struggle with as an adult. Being able to take compliments. I can give compliments all day long. I can talk highly about everybody on earth. Yep. But when it comes to taking compliments, we don't do that. And I say we, meaning it was a cultural thing that was instilled of you don't be cocky, you know, you're supposed to be modest, you know, don't be all big-headed. And unfortunately, that's a pervasive thing. And it's good that you're able to teach them, hey, it might be a little uncomfortable, but you deserve to know what it feels like to get compliments.
I honestly think that
it builds self-worth.
That culminating circle it probably needs to be instituted, especially for adults and for you, for me, that we really put a lot of stuff on our backs and we walk around with this stuff. And yes, we do this for this person and say this to this person and we compliment. And when it comes to us, we like humbly be like, nah, man, I'm just doing this for. But when you have to stand out there, and because I've had to do it in every session too, all the adults have to go in there and say how they felt this weekend. You have to say that, and you also have to stand there and get your applause. It's almost giving your flowers before you're gone. The same thing that people say, we actually did it for these kids and for ourselves. Right. And it's very much needed, man, because to have these people just stand there and applaud you where you have to stand there and just receive it. And to see these people clapping for you and smiling and cheering you on, it does a lot, man. It does a lot for your
right.
for your mental and your attitude. It just is it's a different thing. It's a different thing. And I think it could definitely be used in more places than, you know, just a college campus or with high school students.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Well, I think Fish Tanks does that, Drew. I really do. And especially with this program, it gives the kids a chance to have something they do, be appreciated and critiqued by others. And it also gives them the opportunity to start something and finish it. You know what I'm saying? See it through to the end. So if you want to, can you go in for the people and let them know what you got going on with that project, what the donations, what this lunch money that everybody going ham in the comments. And let me real quick, let's shout out the people in the comments real quick. We got the homie Jay Watson here. Zen Ginger is in here. Corey Cali, Corey Dorbel, what's up, Jess? Garcia here. Garcia Aquatics. I see you in there.
Garcia.
Oh, always asking for something, boy. That must be the New Yorker in you. I got you, homie. I see Thunder Aquatics in here. RJ, Ralphie Joe, what's up with you? Joe Coffee in here. He talking a lot of smack, bruh. I'm gonna buy y'all some plane tickets so y'all can.
No, he's backing Drew up. He's got this back.
But I'm glad everybody in there having a good time. I appreciate y'all for coming out on this Saturday to be with us. Zen Ginger, put your information. Send me a DM on Instagram, please, with your information. You asked me something, and I was trying to get it for you, but I don't know how to get it to you. Apologize for calling you out on the show like that, but I'm thorough. It's loyalty right there. Who else we got in here? Did I get everybody?
Half of Texas is in here.
Everybody? Stella. Stella made it up here. Say what?
You got most of Texas in here today.
Texas, baby. Let's go.
Daniel from Thunder Aquatics. You got Zen, Jeffrey, all from Texas.
Aquarius.
Yep.
All right. We got a good crew. So, yeah, man. Tell the people. Like, give them the rundown, man. Tell them what the business is.
Yeah. How does it get started? How does the idea of getting tanks for the kids? Where's the inception of that?
Bro, last year, and for those that have been following my story, I've been going through it, just period. Like, I've been in the hospital with everybody from my immediate family, and that's the only family I have here in St. Louis. Like I said, everybody else is down south. But with my dad getting his leg cut off because they found cancer on his shin, to my sister getting in a violent car accident where her car flipped over a few times and she broke her ankles and her foot. to my mom when I was in Houston on a PD, falling and popping her spinal column to where she is no longer able to walk. And also, with dementia setting in on her also. My parents are 77 and 76 years old. So, when you think about the age and you figure that, something like that happened, but when it happens so abruptly, man, it hurts a lot more. My mother was taking my niece, who is now 16, who also goes to University City High School, the school I teach at. She was taking her back and forth to school. She was going to McDonald's and back. She was and she was taking care of my dad, who was in a wheelchair because of his leg. But for her to now not be able to walk at all and, have dementia set in on her just so abruptly, man, it was like before I left Houston, I gave her a hug. She stood up, hugged me. She walked around to, ask me if I wanted something to eat. That's just her. To me, coming back from Houston off the weekend and her being in the hospital, not being able to move anymore, it's hurtful and it sucks. It really does. So in the hospital for my dad, in the hospital for my sister, and hospital for my mom. The wife had twins. We lost one. And, with all of that going through that, I was almost at a point where I was sitting here like, bro, I don't feel like the channel was moving, the way it needed to move. I'm doing the videos. Maybe I'm not doing them right, or maybe I don't have the equipment that I need to have to get this thing to just get pushing and pushing and pushing, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Do I take the time to continue doing this, or do I just kind of sit and just think about everything that's been going on and try to go from there? It wasn't until really last year when my students really, they have always looked at the tanks. I had a few students that would feed the fish. They knew exactly how because they asked. They knew how to do a water change because they asked. They would stay and watch me. The aquarium club didn't really go over well because I started it too late. And plus, with me taking off of work for the twins being in the hospital, and with me taking off of work because my dad and mom and all of that, I really just couldn't get any consistency. And if anything, these high school students need consistency. They have a lot of inconsistencies in their life, whether it be at home with their parents, whether they moving from here to there, different schools and stuff. They just do not have any consistency. And as long as you have consistency, they can actually get on a schedule and get on a routine and know that you're going to be there when you say you're going to be there. And since I couldn't do that, the aquarium club did not go off without a hitch. I kind of just introduced it, and I said, maybe next year I'll get a better start on it. Maybe, some positive stuff will happen and I'll be able to jump on it, right? But it was a couple of students that really were interested in the fish. And I always send my pets home with students that are capable to keep them as long as parents are okay with it. My turtles usually go home to some good students. I've had a couple of students who parents were some herpetologists. Is that reptile doctors, right?
Yes.
Or reptile
reptile and amphibian. Yeah.
So they went to good, homes. Another young lady wanted to take the turtles. She had took them over spring break. She did really well with them. She took them over winter break. She did really well with them. So might as well let her take them over summer break. So did that. But now I was like, I had two 10 gallons at the school, and I was like, I wonder if any of these kids would be able to take care of some fish, because I had a couple of cichlids in the class, and then I had some rasboras in my 29 gallon. I was like, maybe they'll get to, I could do the rasboras. I hold on to the dojo loaches. I don't want them to go too crazy. So next thing I know, 2 10 gallons wasn't enough, because I had like 7 or 8 kids wanting to take care of fish and take them home, and they were asking their mom, and I was like, whoa, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna do this? So it gave me it reignited that flame. It reignited that flame of me wanting to do something for other people, because even though the stuff that I got going on is heavy on my heart, it makes me feel a lot better to be able to do something for other people, which takes that weight off of me. Even though I got to deal with it, but to see these smiles on these kids' faces in a hobby that I, hold so near and dear to my heart and love so much, it made me feel good, and I wanted to do it. So I reached out to my YouTube family, reached out to Mazzy, the Missouri Aquarium Society. I was a little too late in asking them for whatever it was that was needed, but still people came through. They came through with fish. They came through with funds. Some people came through with tanks, came through with filters. And before I left last year, I was able to get 11 tanks out of the door to 11 of my freshman students that really were excited. I sent them home with instructions. I had debriefed that with Steve, and I had Aquafunk put up a video on how to set up a basic 10-gallon tank. I gave them, and the only thing I didn't like, because I didn't have enough time to show them and have them cycle their tanks and work that over, because I'm sending them with the fish the day of, I had to do the quick cycle, which is where you get the sponge filter water, that good bacteria, but I also heightened it up with some Fritz Zyme, Fritz 7 live bacteria, so that when they set those tanks up, they wouldn't have dead fish. Right. So in me doing that and doing it on a hop and being able to get 11 kids in just 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying, before school ended, I said, you know what? If I can, I'm gonna start this thing as early as possible.
Right.
So before school started, I put my trailers out there. I let YouTuber family know. I let Missouri Aquarium Society know that I am going to be doing this, and any help would be appreciated. Missouri Aquarium Society said, "Hey, you asked, so here we go." They're allowing me to go into their surplus tanks, and I'm able to get whatever tanks that I feel that, I can get into the classroom or whatever is needed. They really don't have any more small tanks. They have some 20 longs from what I heard. I don't know how many and what kind of condition and shape they're in. So I really kind of got to get in there. I wasn't able to get in there yet. But what they did do is they gave me 2 55 gallons, a 55-gallon stand, a 40-gallon stand, and a 20-gallon stand.
Awesome.
So that is in my classroom now. I filled them up with water. There are no leaks. Seals look good. So I wiped them down and got them looking decent and looking good. I put filters in them this weekend when I was at the school, so that I come back in Monday to clear tanks. Even though I have professional development, I am going to see if I can't get those tanks good and stock this next week coming up. Before those students get in there. So technically I'll have 2 55 gallons on display, a 40-gallon on display, and a 29-gallon on display. And I still have room in my class for maybe a few more tanks. So I don't know if I should go smaller or larger, but my vision is to have these different tanks, colorful. Students are attracted to that, and I'm gonna be able to keep them filtered, keep them fed. Soon, I know I'll have students wanting to know how to do it. Instructions will ensue after that. Start up my aquarium club after that. I've got teachers that want tanks in their classroom once they figure it out, what my whole vision was. And my vision is very simple. I want students that can become good fish keepers to start fish keeping. That's basically what it is.
Right.
They just got to get the start. And if they start it correctly, they'll be great. The Missouri Aquarium Club is getting older and older by the years go by, right? Let's face it, this community is a bunch of old white guys.
You want to put new blood into it.
We got to put some young creativity, some young bodies, some youth age-wise. I'm not getting any younger myself.
Bro.
And I want to see what these kids can come up with. They're so creative and everything else.
That's perfect, bro. Like you said, you just nailed it, bro. Because you said youth.
So with that, that's what I'm doing, and I've set out myself to try to do it. My principal knows about my YouTube channel. The assistant principal said, he watches the hot spot and is dying laughing all the time. He said he has a 15-gallon in his office. he don't want to give it to no kids. He wants me to hook it up for him because he needs him some aesthetically pleasing when he's done writing down suspensions and talking to students off the ledges and stuff like that. I said, okay, well, we got you. As long as you can let me film it and put it on as content, we got it. So so I'm back out asking. The YouTube family has been awesome. When I asked for turkeys, they delivered turkeys at the spur of the moment, gave me funds for that, and I was able to deliver like 20-something turkeys to the families. When I asked for hams for Christmas, they delivered, and everybody knows that my receipts are my videos. I go to the stores and I will film myself looking for the cheapest hams, so the more bang for my buck, whether it's Aldi or Schnucks or Deerbergs or Walmart or Costco, wherever I need to go, where I can, whatever you guys give me, I'm going to use it to the max and try to get as many people together as possible. And I'm going to do a video on it so that you guys can see what the hell is going on when you guys do funds. I have my high school address up there for those that want to send filters or tanks or something like that. Stella, you got a tank but don't know where to put it. I'll come over. I'll show you where to put it. Straight up. We can make room. They got tanks for all sizes. I've got a teacher who has a couple goldfish that really was supposed to be intended for turtle food, and they just ended up growing because the turtle wouldn't eat them. But she has them in a 10-gallon, and she was like, I know they're unhappy in there, but do you think that I could just get a bigger tank if you have the availability? Hell yeah. She's right across from me. I need to put a tank in your room so that your students can see it, let them know where it came from, send them over to me, let them join the aquarium club, and they can get them some tanks and that's where I want to be with it. I want to have enough resources to be able to get a kid ready to go without having to jump back on. And I want to be ready to go. You feel me? I want to have them set up with the sponge filter, the air pump, the tops, the lids, the scrapers, the substrate, and just have them set up, man, and ready to go. All they got to do is sit, listen, watch a couple of YouTube videos from some of my people that I know what they're talking about, and hopefully we get some brand new YouTube channels out of the deal. We'll get some Missouri Aquarium Society members out of the deal. And
so
that's where I'm at.
I keep notes on everything. So, like you said, youth. So putting new blood into it, right? So let's talk about that. And like pre-COVID, and now that you got a solid foundation moving forward, making a system, making a little curriculum, challenging the kids. So it's like, okay, now y'all know how to keep them alive. Let's really do something. You know what I'm saying? You know how we had talked about the hard charging kids and incentivizing it and implementing the structure of the program.
All right. So hold on to that. I hope I answered Corey Dorable's question set up. So they were 10 gallons. They had sponge filters. They had gravel substrate, air pumps, and I also bought little small lights that I found for them to make it aesthetically pleasing. And I sent them with food, also sent them with Prime for water changes, and sent them with instructions and also my email so they can ask any questions that they may have. So they had the whole setup. They had the whole setup for when they went home, and they were to set it up. And I sent them home with guppies, Danios. Some of them got guppies, some of them got Danios. I had a kid take a dojo loach also with some rasboras. So yes, so that's what they went with. Steve, so
you put lids on them too, remember? That was cool how you DIY the lids.
I couldn't get any lids. Remember, I went to Home Depot. It was like hella expensive to get the stuff that you cut out.
So that's what you still need is lids.
Yeah, but as soon as I came into the school year, um, the industrial tech teacher came up to me, and he said, "Are you still trying to do stuff for your kids?" I said, "Hell yeah." I said, "I need if you guys can make a project where you guys do stands, that'll be great. And I still need lids." And he said, "We'll start early." He said, "Let's connect and let's do something and make it happen."
Fantastic.
He said, for those of you guys that don't know, St. Louis had flash flooding, and it had put a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our students kind of out. Man, it was really bad in the U City area, and he had his students build the deck for certain houses in our community, and
Oh,
he said
cool.
it won't be no thing for us to do stands for you, and so I've got his help on that now, and lids. I've got a guy at Missouri Aquarium Society that made scrapers for me from his 3D printer. And he said, anything else you need 3D printed, let me know, and we'll get that together too. Um,
That's good, bro.
I think Corridorable asked if I need some API kits or something like that so we can start testing water. Absolutely. Um, my principal took me off of biology, right, and gave me ecology, which is
Fantastic.
going from sophomores to seniors, juniors, and seniors, right? I still have 2 classes of freshmen, which is physical science. So I'll still be able to bait them in there. And juniors and seniors, they tend to have jobs and a lot more things that they're more interested in sometimes. But if they're going away to college, you could take a 10 gallon with you away to college. I mean, hell, Coral 3G talked about his college dorm um, um, antics with fish tanks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I get to make my own curriculum, and that's where they done messed up now, baby.
Yeah.
Because everything is ecology. We're going to teach ecology, boom, and then we're going to aquatic ecosystems right then and there. And not only do they want to make fish tanks, but they got to make fish tanks to get their grade.
Right. To get a
You feel
grade.
me? Your grade is project based, and your project is to create an ecosystem in a 10-gallon tank that you can take home with you. You could decorate it whichever way you want, but we are talking about the living aspects that are in that tank that will aid each other in its own life and sustainable system, right? And this could go fish tanks. We could do paludariums. We could
Yeah.
go the whole
Yeah.
gamut,
Always. Yeah.
right? And I've got Steve talking about plants and what plants will go with what and how that helps with the tank and the culture of the fish tank. And so there we go. And I'm gonna content it all
So,
on
speaking of
YouTube.
which, check this out. I think that people really need to get the impact of how the universe works, because I really don't think they understand. Like, this endeavor has been a long time coming. A lot of stuff happened. COVID, everybody dealing with their own personal hardships, if you will, and just going through it. And look how things fall into place, because when this whole thing came up, I personally didn't have any idea that COVID was coming, X, Y, and Z. But past all of that, that it would still evolve. So it went from talking about being able to groom a group of kids and start a little after school program where you're trading in fish tanks for guns, literally a youth incentive, to you getting handed the ecology department in your school. And that just solidifies the foundation of things that was already previously planned. Being able to take these freshmen or sophomores, groom them up through college, and then do a capstone program, culminating in a field trip so they can go to college. They got to give a presentation. They got to do X, Y, and Z, and it builds them,
Yep.
So I really think that the people need to know, like, it's happening. And it wasn't serendipity, but the universe is affirming it more and more as it moves into it.
Well, I'm glad you were saying that too, because what I also wanted to add, like, maybe this is not just a single year thing. I want it to grow.
Right.
And like you were saying, if I can give a student a 10-gallon tank and they do well with it over the summer and they come back and show growth and more knowledge, maybe when they come back their sophomore year, we can upgrade that 10-gallon to a 20-gallon.
Yeah, and do plants. Full plant.
And our plants, right? And let them deal with that and see how well they do with that, and maybe upgrade them in their junior year to a 20-gallon or 20 tall or something like that,
Right.
where they can actually expand their aspect of different fish and bigger fish and stuff like that. I want it to be a whole thing. And like I said, when I write out this curriculum, I'm including field trips. We got Missouri Conservation
Right.
that's free here. If any funds that I get will go towards those kids, if they don't have to pay for the bus and to get into the St. Louis Aquarium, our zoo is already free. If we can get all of that prepared for them, where I could just tell them, hey, we got a field trip coming up Friday, make sure that you have all your work and everything done, and we're going to go learn about this part of the hobby or this part of the ecosystem, this aquatic system. I'm trying to get people to come in from Missouri Aquarium Society for lectures, to come into the classroom and speak on their truth there. I could get some Zoom lectures coming in. I can have Steve, you could be on screen talking about plants. If we can get plants sent, I'll have them with their plants in their tanks. They took all the chairs out of my classroom. The principal gave me all lab tables, all lab benches.
That's beautiful.
He knows that I'm going to be setting fish tanks on them, and they're going to be in their fish tanks messing around while they listen to a speaker, right?
Right.
A partner of mine just gave me a website to see if I can possibly get a grant for pets in the classroom or something like that. I still need to look at that. My cousin gave me that.
Okay.
And so I'm grabbing straws wherever I can to see if I can't make this thing something. I feel like it's going to end up being bigger than me, and I feel like I'm only one person. But if I have the backing and the help, I'm gonna make this happen, man.
It's gonna happen. And you know, I pretty much adopted your school's biology department, so you need plants. They already know a big box coming, and it's gonna be a bunch of stuff too. So,
I check this out. All the teachers were there, and my teacher that's right next door to me, her daughter is now going to U City, and I said, "Hey, you want to clean out this 55-gallon for me?" She was like, "Sure." So as she's cleaning it out, she comes across a Warrior Planet T-shirt. You remember when you sent that to me? She was like, "This is a man's medium." I said, "Yeah." She was like, "Can I have it?" I said, "You can only have it if you go to Warrior Planet Tank's YouTube channel and watch him for a second and see what he knows, and then you can have it, and that way you can wear it proudly so that when people ask you who it is, you know exactly about it." She was like, "Cool, no problem."
What?
So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Look,
man.
YouTubers, I'm needing your stickers. I'm needing your logos. I have a big bulletin board. I could put all of that on. That's right behind all of my tanks. I would do my live stream in there, but the school is not open at 9:00 at night. But I might be able to do some pre-record type stuff there against that wall of your guys' logos and those tanks. I think that'll be pretty cool. It'll be like my fish corner, like the fish room in the classroom.
All our art, bro. That'll be fly.
Yeah, it'll be so dope. So definitely send that in to me. Send that in to the school. Make sure that you attention Mr. Clark, Fishy Biz, whatever. They'll get it to my classroom, and I'll be able to put that stuff up before you all start sending fish, because I have limited amount here. Let me tell you what I've already decided that's going. Okay, if you have angels, all right, I would love to take angels. I'm putting angels in one of those 55s, right? If you have rainbows, I'm doing rainbows in the other 55. The reason I'm doing that is because these are different colors of the same species that would just be awesome fish. Angels are a different shaped fish rainbows are quick and beautiful, different color fish. I think
Hey,
that'd be
Mods,
awesome.
can you make a list of that for the people so we can post it up on the screen as he is going over the species of fish that he's cruising for donations, please?
In the 40, I want to go for swordtails. I think that'd be a super cool fish for them to check out and watch them reproduce and stuff like that. And then in the 29, I want to go for those Danios.
Any specific type of Danio? Giant, zebra, leopard?
No, I probably want to go with maybe the smaller ones, just so I can pack them in there and different colors.
So nano type, nano fish.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Okay.
When in the 29 for sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Will you be okay with any Danios under giant, and arguably a small?
I wouldn't mind getting different.
Under a dozen be okay in there.
I feel like the more colorful and the more movement in tanks, it would be awesome. Now, I do have room for. I put the 55 up there, which means I have room for. I actually have room for another 40-gallon tank, and that could be
Black water.
I don't know.
Look, Drew,
chat's decision or my members'
you said
decision.
ecology. You done said ecology, and I'm sitting over here. My palms are sweaty. I'm shaking like a crackhead. It's like an AA meeting. So I got this burning desire to nerd out. So I'm gonna have to. Like, I just have to. So you're talking about ecology, right? And that's me, bro. So like for the kids, building levels, right? So you already got them. You already got them on the basics of an aquarium. We're gonna talking about getting them up to a 20-gallon, getting them with plants. Aquascaping is ecology. Hear me out. When I make those Pico bowls, those are self-contained ecosystems. I'm not flexing. I'm not looking for clout when I do the hashtag no first, no filter. What I'm doing is I'm trying to intrigue people. I want people to say, how in the hell is he able to put this stuff in this thing and nothing die? How is he able to get it to grow and look like it does when it doesn't have any of the traditional components that we have been taught systematically that fish tanks need in order to be successful? That's ecology. When I can teach these kids, when I can be that cool dude, like, hey, y'all really want to have some fun? Like, yeah, what you got? Hey, you ever thought about making a saltwater tank, black water? But I'm not talking about brackish. I'm talking about Eurohaline, like for real. No, there's no way. And then I can be like, so you calling God a liar? Is that what you're saying? Just because you haven't figured out how to do it, don't mean it can't be done. And oh, by the way, I got a video I can send you to because I know I got. So like, that's the kind of stuff that excites me when I can say, hey, oh, by the way, did you know that these Danios have evolved over time to be shaped like a torpedo because they occupy this niche of the water? They need X, Y, and Z. And teaching them ecology. Let's look at fish. Let's look at shapes. Why is an angelfish shaped like this? Why is a discus shaped like this? Why are these predator fish shaped like this? And then really go into ecology. You want to set up a tank with rainbows? Let's talk about how Australia evolved over time separately and independently of all the other continents, and how these species from the Pseudomutual family, from the Melatonania family, from all these different families evolved right there in Australia. And how, George can send me a fish from a different continent, not a continent, but through divergent evolution, through parallel evolution, we got the same fish just about in the Arizona pupfish over here in a mud puddle that may or may not be extinct. You know, so like incentivizing it and really getting these kids hungry and basically doing it to where it's like, okay, you can say, yeah, you have to keep a fish tank to get the grade, or you can make it cool like I do and be like, hey, y'all really want to have some fun? Y'all really want to push the car? How about making a full scape in a half gallon of water with livestock? Nah, there's no way. There's no way. You sure? Why don't you go check out my Instagram page? And like, we be those big bros that the kids can look up to. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you said ecology, like the nerding out's there. And then like make it the most advanced level, Blackwater. So we can really, really talk about ecology. So we can break down to it. You know?
And you know what? I think that is it has its place all in there, because in order for you to keep something happy and healthy, you need to know the background of it, and that's part of it too.
Amen.
Right now, my whole focus is when those kids come in that classroom and I have my tanks stocked with that stuff, it'd just trigger something for them to just go to it and just look at it every second that they get.
Yeah.
You know, it's the aha moment that teachers have. That's the thing that makes us so happy to be educators, because it's an aha moment where we got you, we hooked you. Now we got to keep you. So my hook is to have beautiful looking tanks with some of the colorful fish that move around and they just can't focus. I would love to get some live plants from you, Steve, so that I could plant them in those respective tanks. Whichever you feel easy plants that you want me to get in there, let me know the substrate and I'll try to get that down too. But
they're all easy to me.
I want it, what's you, right. But I'm going on the precedence that I am sending students home with fish and tanks by the end of the semester. I'm going for the semester first, and then we'll worry about some more after the end of the year. But I want to see how many I could put out there where I can still be here for them to tell me what issues they're having, troubleshooting and stuff like that. I want them to take one home for the semester. I'm thinking about maybe winter break or maybe spring break, one of the two, where they can actually have some time with these tanks and they can still come back to school and they can get the word of mouth to their friends and to show it off. And maybe we'll have some, like I said, some channels pop up. I don't want to rush it. I want everything to be within the constraints of this curriculum that I'm building. And I'm almost building it as I go, because I don't know everything. I can't pretend to know everything about plants and different types of fish. You know, these small fish is still an enigma to me. I just got some platies to breed, and everybody says that you're stupid if you can't breed platies and mollies and guppies. I'm sorry.
That's not true, because there's a lot of people that can't.
Exactly. And I've just left that tank alone with some plants, and they're rocking right now. I've been with the bigger cichlids. So me just, I'm gonna be learning with them, and it's just gonna be a fun time listening to people who are experts in these different fields and these different fish and these different plants. I need somebody to talk nitrogen cycle that can actually pinpoint the different spots of maybe where they might have troubles at, or what they're going to see in a tank if it has too much ammonia and nitrates and stuff like that, because I'm not the best on that either. So I need people to come in and talk and make videos, and I'll showcase them, and we'll do the whole thing, y'all. We'll do the whole thing. So I'm with that 100%.
Keep game, man, Drew, because this is dope, bro. I'm turned up if you can't tell. Like, I'm so glad you came on, bro. Like, for real. Like, if y'all don't know, that's my brother right there, man. Like, dead ass. Like, it's my show. I'm using profanity. I don't even care. So this man here, like, it's funny. And I'm going to use a quote from my auntie. For y'all that don't speak Texas vernacular, auntie is an endearing term for your mother's sister. also known as your aunt. So my auntie was like, Drew came to Houston and we hosted him. We had a very, very good time. Unfortunately, he had to go home on some less than ideal circumstances, but nonetheless, we had a great time. And one of the nights that we got through having dinner, we had a few drinks, had dinner, and my auntie was like, I like him. He a good guy. How long you been knowing him? And I was like, a couple years now. It's been a few little years. Time goes by fast. And she was like, where'd you meet him at? Did y'all meet in the Navy, or is he one of your college buddies? And I was like, nah. I met him on the internet doing fish tanks. And she was like, you serious? And I was like, yeah. And she said, I thought he was one of your real friends. She was like, the way y'all vibing and everything like that, you could have swore y'all, had I not known, like y'all grew up together. And I was like, nah, it's just he a good dude like that. We see eye to eye.
I have that effect on a lot of people.
Now don't mess it up now. But that's part of where it comes from, is the fact that we actually get an opportunity to do this right now, to be passionate about something, but give it to the future generations. Be a springboard, if you will. So my shoulders, your shoulders, they're supposed to be the platform, the springboard, so them kids can stand on them, so they can reach to the stars, and that's the legacy right there. So like when we talk about nerding out and making it fun, you know how it is with kids. It's all about hype. Like sitting in a class, learning about the photosynthetic equation is like watching paint dry. But if I can equate that to something that they understand, that resonates with them, then they get excited about it.
Yeah.
When I can say, hey, did you know that in black water, what it does is it actually messes with the electricity in the water, which affects the nutrient uptake, which is why you don't see X, Y, and Z. Ain't that cool? Like, it's alien type shit. Like, dead ass. Like, if you can put it on that level to where it's intriguing, capitalize on that hunger.
I honestly think we're going to have a bunch of different students on the gamut, like cousin Turkey, like Uncle Turkey, man. My cousin Terry said, he said, really, I didn't even think about the fish. I just wanted my man cave to look dope, so I just started putting stuff together, and this stuff started living together. And now he has a fish tank with a salt water, and he also has a freshwater tank, and he's doing really well with it. I think we're going to have a lot of students that just really think that's beautiful and really want to do that, not knowing exactly. And then that's when we could come in and let them know that. And then we'll have the students that want to know the background of these fish and stuff like that. Because like I said, I'm trying to take them to go get some native plants and some native fish from the Missouri Conservation Center. We're trying to do field trips as long as the money in the school allows it. And that's why I've got to get them in early. And please, if you guys were sending guppies, don't be discouraged, because I forgot that I already have some teachers that if I can get some tanks from Mozzie, or if I can go to Petco and get some, when they have their gallon cellar and get them in, they want fish, and they're gonna have relatively small tanks, so 10s and 20 gallons. So guppies will be perfect in there, and I can always go into these different classrooms, grab guppies for students also, and send them on with that. I'm gonna try to get my aquarium club to the fact where they can go into classrooms, set tanks up, and show teachers. They're going to teach the teachers how to take care of the tanks that are in their classroom, or they'll be able to come by daily and, feed the fish and make sure that everything's all right. I want them on that type of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I had one teacher, she was like, these tanks look they just came by the classroom. They was like, oh my God, you got some tanks in here. I wouldn't mind a tank in my classroom. I just don't want to mess nothing up. I was like, hey, that's what we're here for. We about to rock out, baby.
Yeah, you better give me a call. You know what my motto is.
Yeah.
Can I say it?
Yeah, say it.
Should I? I might as well say it. My motto is, fuck them goddamn fish. Like that. Like, that's my motto, man.
And
You know
we lost
why?
our sponsorships.
Because if anything's gonna die, I'm gonna make sure I know what killed it, and it ain't gonna die again. Sometimes you gotta kill a few to save the many.
Well,
Don't never let nobody scare you to not do something. You gotta be fearless. Like, and
when I said go ahead and say it, I didn't think you were going to say that.
I said I was gonna say it. I said I was gonna say
But
it.
you know what? That is still a good. That's an important point, and that's one
It's
point that
important.
George
Think
had
about it.
made
Be a Spartan.
when we had did the. Remember, I did the live stream that I showed the students when everybody came up and said, one
Yes.
important thing that you need to do. But they do need to understand that so everybody wants to be alive. Death is part of the great circle of life. So it happens. It happens. But
Well, the reason
I want to give a quick shout out to Garcia, man. He's been a strong proponent, man. Every live stream I've seen him in, he's been kicking off the Cash App. He's been kicking off, stuff like that. I want to throw a shout out to him, Lady Shimmy Shimmy's lady too. Man, he's all over the place. Even when he put in the wrong Cash App, he was putting it in like a motherfucker. He wasn't even playing. He was hitting that enter button. And then I had to tell him, is that's wrong. He's like, oh, my bad. Here we go. Let's go. Let's do it. He's been rocking, man. He's been rocking. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you all. Everybody in the chat chatting it up. Man, it does my heart good, man, to see this. And it's warming, man, to know that we have a community that really appreciates it. Really appreciates it. So my thing is this, y'all. I think I've said this before, but we have so many people in YouTube, FishTube, that have made their heights, and they are continuing to making their heights, and they're doing their thing, and they got their memberships going and everything else. They know their fish. They've got their big tanks. They've got their good equipment and stuff like that. And I'm just a teacher that's trying to see if I can do that same level, but give it to somebody else that can actually bring it back. They can actually bring it back to the YouTube family and to the hobby,
Right.
with some more creativity. I don't know, man. It just seems like only right. It just seems like I should go and get some youngsters and bring them in. You know what I'm saying? And put a fish tank in their hand and tell them to go buck wild with the creativity. Make a Minecraft tank. Put you some Minecraft men in there. Make
Lego
sure that
tank.
they are.
Yeah.
Make a Lego tank. Make what's they playing now? Make a GTA tank.
GTA, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And make sure that you coat it with the stuff that it can stay underwater and stuff like that, and get you some fish that will go to that theme. You know what I'm saying? There's so many fish of different colors and different sizes that can work. Do a Super Mario Brother tank. Get you some red and some green fish. Let them represent Mario and Luigi. Like, you bring it. Whatever you can think of, I'm sure that we can figure out how to get it done, man. And it's your own underwater world. It's whatever you make it. You can do whatever you want. It's your world.
That's the biggest takeaway right there. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's
that's
yours. And
big.
what you're doing is you paying it forward and giving back at the same time. Because the future generations is who gonna come and keep the hobby going. It is a hobby.
I see you, Zan.
Believe it or not, the hobby does change things. The hobby does bring awareness to a lot of things that people normally wouldn't have given a second thought. And if that's the conduit, then that's the conduit. And this, like, I'm turned up, bro. It's kind of like when we first started talking about this in 2018, 2019, something like that. Bruh. It's the kids. These are the kids we're talking about. All right. It's the ones who don't get seen. It's the ones who don't normally get the opportunity to be. They get forgotten. They get written off because of the environment they're from, because they're from the hood. But if you can plant that seed, maybe they will grow up to be biologists, ecologists, work in environmental science. Maybe they can go to the Amazon and get some grassroots conservation started. How do you know? When you plant that seed, though, they could break those cycles and understand, like, hey, yeah, I came from St. Louis. I'm from the Loop, blah, blah, blah. But now they're up there with Dr. Neil Tyson deGrasse. They're one of the leading people talking about climate change. They're one of the go-to authorities, and they can say, hey, no, it's because of Mr. Clark, man. He used to get on my ass, bro. It's all because of something silly like him sending me home with a 10-gallon fish tank. And now look at, this cat has 3 species named after him, a Nobel Peace Prize, like who knows? You know what I'm saying? A Pulitzer.
Sky's the limit.
It's got to start.
Hey,
exactly.
Let me ask you something, Drew, because T won't shut up. Anyways,
somebody's got to be on the show.
What I wanted to ask you, I understand what you're trying to do now, but ultimately, where would you like to see this go? What would be the ultimate goal for this program?
That's a great question, man. Honestly, I'm gonna just say honestly, because I'm just not a loser, man. I'm a winner. I always feel like it could be bigger than me. And with that said, I would love to see, this trial curriculum that I'm doing in ecology, if it hits on everything that I want to hit it on, bringing it to an ecosystem ecology, and just focusing it mainly on creating ecosystems in a fish tank or something like that, with field trips included and lectures included, and tests and worksheets and stuff like that. All of that included, where these students actually get a more commonality about not only an ecosystem, but wherever they are and live at their ecosystem from an aquatic standpoint, right? If it can go, it can go. If I can get my small school district to be able to get students to not only learn, but also take that learning far and above to a society level, and incorporate the teachers and all the students as something that we all can come together and understand, why not stop? Why stop at my district? Why not go to the next district over? Let's do Ladue School District, Clayton School District, Hazelwood School District, and see if this is that good enough where they can adopt this curriculum for their ecology courses and make it a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Not only do we have fish tanks, but now we have people who are getting into careers in ecology, going, making their livelihood doing different things and understanding different things and researching different things that will do nothing but help and aid societal wise, right? And now it turned in from a bunch of people nerding out to now a big career thing that you could turn it into something for young kids. I'm in high school. Let's see if we can start them in middle school. Let's take it over across the street to the elementary school. They probably have fish tanks, but the kids probably are just looking at them. Let's get them. Let's see what they can do with the 5-gallon tank. You know what I'm saying? If they knew about it and knew how to feed and stuff like that. It could go either way with that. Like, sky's the limit.
Yeah,
sky's the limit. I'm just a teacher just trying to influence his students on a hobby that he likes and adamant about it. But let's see who bites. Let's see who takes it. Let's see what they can do with it.
Well, yeah, and I think another point that could be made with what you're doing, and I know kids have no idea that this could actually become a real small business that they can run on their own. And the reason I say that is because if you get them into breeding live bears, there's a whole market out there where they could start, even it's not going to be a lot of money, but it'll be money to sustain their own hobby. And that goes for plants and the easier fish to keep. And it starts giving them that thought in their mind where now not only are they learning about fish keeping, but potentially running a small business.
It works. They're taking marketing classes and stuff already. Might as well incorporate that stuff and personal finance. That all works there too. What about them creating YouTube channels?
Exactly.
And they can market for a whole different.
Mm-hmm.
So where we click the tab not for kids, they could click a tab for kids. And everybody knows kids run YouTube. I mean, billions. You know what I'm saying? They can make it more personable. They can make it, on a whole different level than we can. So where my target market is 35 to 65, their target market could be 11 to 16, 20.
Yeah. Have you had an opportunity or even thought about talking to Dr. Anthony and seeing if there's something you guys could do together?
I don't think I have Dr. Anthony's information.
Oh, I'll pass that to you. He's got the channel too. And the reason I say that, and this is obviously maybe not viable for high school students, but students that actually do end up getting interested in this and would eventually like to pursue a career in the hobby. I know he's always having like summer internships down there at the research center, and he's having a hard time filling the spots. And so, for students that might be interested in doing something beyond just, keeping fish, that could be an opportunity for them too. That could be available.
That'd be dope. And you got some parents that don't want, this kid doesn't even make up his bed when I tell him to. I don't want a fish tank. We need to have something for those kids too. I mean, other than them coming to school and taking care of a classroom tank in one of their teachers' classrooms, which I feel like I would be able to offer to them since they don't have to go home with it. But everybody still wants a little piece. You know what I'm saying? That they can call their own. You feel me? Yeah. But that might be great. I have one of the top aquascapers here in Missouri. She stays in Rolla. Big Tank Hank had her on his channel last night, Melanie Holmes. She is actually going down to Art of Aquaria, which is in downtown St. Louis. And she is putting up a tutorial of how to aquascape right there in the store. Okay. And I think she was tutoring up to about 12 people. The person that told me about this was Mozzie member Mike Huber. And he said, do you think she said she's got 2 slots left. And he said, I want to pay for those 2 slots. But I want you to be able to see if you can get 2 of your students to get down there and be a part of that aquascaping tutorial. And I said, dude, if you pay for 2 slots for that, I will find 2 of my students to go down there. And I will record it and put it on YouTube of my students learning from Melanie Holmes on how to aquascape a tank. Because not only are you paying for the knowledge, but you're going to be able to take home that 15 gallon aquascape tank that you made. And if you know anything about Melanie Holmes, she doesn't play around with the scaping. She is freaking awesome with the aquascaping. And not only will that aid them in getting their tank that's going to be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, but now I have 2 aquascape kids that can come into the classroom and show my students how to make, like, clearly I know jack about aquascape. Show us all how to get it cracking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Zinjan put in Dr. Anthony's links, so I have to check him out.
Yeah.
Amazon Research Center. Yes.
I mean, it's just an idea. And obviously that gets a little bit more complicated if you're trying to deal with high school students. But, students that are graduating and they have that summer in between high school and college, that could be something, especially if they're trying to pursue something in the science field. I think
Yeah.
that would be a great opportunity for those students.
Absolutely right.
So, well, we're almost at 2 hours now. We've gone. This is by far the longest stream we've had in a long, well, ever.
Leave it up to me to get it going, man. I get to ranting when it comes to talking about these kiddos, man. Like you could see how I was almost, just kind of done, man, and just was gonna throw pity on myself and try to figure out. And then when these kids got excited, it just reignited it in me. And so, like, in my mind, I was like, how could I think of just stopping? This is I'm here for a reason. You feel me? And I feel like this is the reason. So I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off.
And I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but just to make sure people understand, I know that the fish keeping part of it is a big part of your projects, but you're not only doing stuff for those students, you're doing stuff for all the students. You talked about doing turkey drives during Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And you're also doing the ham drives, or you're always trying to do something to give back to your students. And it's not. My understanding is it's not just your science students, right? You're just
no. That's everybody in the school. Matter of fact, when it comes to the turkeys and the hams, I go to the counselors and ask if there's specific people that because they know, because they work with all the families outside of the school that probably need more help than others. So I want those students first. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're too proud to come out and get a turkey. Maybe their mom doesn't have a car to come pick it up. I'll drop the thing off. This is my community, bro. I know all of the streets, the side streets, the back streets. I know where you live at. I can get there. You just let me know what street you're on, and you're on Blackberry, you're on 82nd. Where you at? I grew up over here. So that's what everybody. I want the people that need it the most first, of course, obviously. But there's some students that probably are a little well off that aren't able to do it at that time. I mean, the way that this the society has been fluctuating, especially financially, a lot of people that were able to do a lot aren't able to do that much anymore. But yeah, it's not just my students. I can reach my students because I see them daily, but we have over 800 students in the school. So I reach out to counselors. I send them emails. Is there anybody that that needs? I reach out to the superintendent. That goes. She's very, very ornamental in going over to families' houses and doing things for them. So I definitely reach out to those people first. Absolutely.
And now another thing that I wanted to ask, obviously you've got your information out there for the school and stuff like that, but I'm assuming you'd rather have people contact you before they start sending stuff over, so that you're aware of what's coming in and when it's coming in.
Sure. Absolutely.
The best way to get a hold of you would be what, on your Instagram? Or
yeah, you could definitely DM me on the Instagram and email me at fishybizaquatics@gmail probably be, but Instagram would probably be better than any other social media because I can always see that as soon as I turn my phone on. So that
what's your Instagram handle on there? How do they find it?
Everything's Fishy Biz Aquatics.
Fishy Biz Aquatics. Okay.
Everything's Fishy Biz Aquatics. Yep. Instagram, Facebook, Band, Twitter, all of this. Fishy Biz Aquatics.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say, Steve? You're muted, brother. Your mic. Turn on your mic. There you go. I guess he doesn't want to say nothing.
Yeah, right. He's going to say something.
I don't know. Well, he said something, but I couldn't hear him because his mic.
Yeah, I said thanks for stopping by, bro. Appreciate you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Zen Jam, Busy $Busy Fish 45 is the only thing that's Cash App. It's Cash App. Hey man, no problem, man. I'm glad you guys had me up, man. This is great. I appreciate it. Also, Monday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. In the hotspot will be Kenny from ABC. What's his thing? ABC Isotopes? Is that what it is?
Biotopes, man.
Is it Biotopes? Yeah, ABC Biotopes.
Yeah.
Look, Isotopes. We're tripping. Yeah, so Kenny will be in the hotspot. Look for his trailer. It'll be out pretty soon. He's got some. The dude tongue is split in half, man. He can do this with, and then he's got reptilian tats.
Oh, he went and got that surgery.
We got to get into this, y'all. We got to get into this. So the hot spot's gonna be spotting and hotting and spotting on Monday, 9 p.m. You guys. So
9 o'clock.
Hey, Drew, before we let you go, any chance we could get you back probably like at the winter break to see how your progression is going with these tanks and
absolutely, and that's what I was going to say. If you guys want to check out progression, I like I said, I've rededicated my channel to this, so I will. For members, if you become a member, you'll have behind the scenes, some behind the scenes look that I probably won't put out on regular, but for those, I am going to put out videos. I'll try my best to put out as many as I can, but those with the students in them, I'll put them on YouTube, of course, but it won't be. It's still a slippery slope when I try to figure out if these kids could actually be put out into the video. Like I've done it already, haven't had any issues, and I'm usually the type that'll ask for forgiveness, but I won't ask for permission. But hopefully that still is okay, and we'll be all right. And plus, I'll be dealing with a lot older students. I still feel like my freshmen are going to be the ones that gravitate towards this a lot quicker than my juniors and seniors. But since my juniors and seniors are going to have to do, get their grade, that they will be having hands in tanks. So that's going to happen, and hopefully, in them getting their grade and constantly seeing tanks and seeing that they can do it and it's not as hard as they see, maybe that'll trigger them to be, you know what, this is not so bad. I think I could be a fish keeper.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to be here and thank everybody else that stayed with us. And for those of you watching the replay, we've got Fishy's Visit contact information. If you're trying to reach out to him, please do. And, let's do this for the kids.
Hashtag F the kids. I appreciate you all, man.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, man.